What have you written? Look at the way you have written. Is this how you're supposed to write? If you have ever said this or heard this being said, it probably felt normal. But what if I told you that these exact words, spoken with the right intention, can still slowly begin to damage a child's confidence? Today, in this episode, we are going to uncover something that often goes completely unnoticed. Why correction without understanding doesn't improve handwriting the way we expect it, and how over time it quietly begins to affect how a child thinks, feels, and eventually how they see themselves. Hello, this is Maneesha Rajpal, and you're listening to Inner Architecture. Now, if you really notice, these sentences don't sound harsh. They don't sound abusive. In fact, they sound very normal. Things we hear at home, at study tables, outside classrooms, sometimes even said with genuine concern. And yet, something happens the moment these words are spoken. Not loudly, not visibly, but very quietly. Because when correction comes before understanding, the child doesn't just hear feedback. The child begins to feel evaluated. And over time, that feeling doesn't stay in the moment. It slowly starts shaping something deeper inside. Parents, teachers, educators genuinely mean well for the child. They want handwriting to improve, they want neatness, clarity, better presentation. So naturally, the focus goes on to what is visible, the page, the letters, the output. But what often gets missed is everything that's happening behind that page. The effort, the struggle, the internal system that's trying to function but hasn't been understood yet. And when correction keeps targeting only the surface, something begins to shift. Not immediately, not dramatically, but at the level of thinking. Because the child starts noticing a pattern no matter how much they try, no matter how many pages they write. The response sounds the same. And slowly, the thought changes from something here needs help to maybe I am just not good at this. Now, children don't separate skills the way we adults do. For them, handwriting is just not writing. It happens in front of others, in classrooms, in notebooks that are checked, on boards where everyone can see. So, when a child struggles with handwriting, the struggle doesn't stay on the paper, it moves inward. And once that thought settles, I am not good at this, it begins to shape how the child feels. There is hesitation, a subtle tightening before writing, a sense of exposure, and sometimes very quiet form of shame. Not loud shame, not visible, but the kind that makes a child second guess themselves. And this is where many parents feel confused because the child still knows the answer. They can explain it verbally, they can speak with clarity and confidence, but the moment a teacher says, "Who wants to come and write on the board?" this child looks down. Not because they don't know, but because writing has now become a place of risk. And over time, this begins to shape their behavior. The child starts avoiding situations where writing is visible, stops volunteering, and stops stepping forward. And slowly, this avoidance doesn't remain limited to handwriting because confidence doesn't stay locked inside one skill. When handwriting keeps sending the message, "I am not good enough," the child begins to carry that message into participation, expression, and self belief. Thought shapes emotion, and emotion shapes behavior. Not suddenly, but very steadily. Let's visualize this. Imagine a stainless steel tiffin box that won't open. You try once, then again, and frustration starts building. So eventually you bang it on the table, maybe on the kitchen slab, and finally it opens. But something has changed. There is a small dent now, barely visible but permanent. That's how the child's mind works. It is strong, capable, it appears resilient. But when pressure is used to force results, it leaves an emotional dent. The child still functions, still performs, still shows up, but the feeling inside is no longer the same. So, what does understanding actually mean? It doesn't mean sympathy alone, it means observation. It means that before saying improve your handwriting, we pause and ask, why is writing difficult here? Is the child's age aligned with the expectation? Is the pencil grip stable? Is the pencil size suitable for that hand? Is excessive pressure being used? Not out of stubbornness, but because the grip and the posture are working against the child? Sometimes the child doesn't yet have a clear motor memory for each alphabet. So every alphabet is being constructed again and again every time the child is writing. And in that situation, more pages of cursive writing practice don't bring clarity, they bring fatigue. And when effort does not lead to improvement, the child doesn't question the setup. The child questions himself. This must be my fault. And that is how learned helplessness begins. Not suddenly, not dramatically, but very quietly. So, as parents, as educators, as adults working closely with children, the real shift is not in correcting faster, it is in understanding first. Because when understanding comes before correction, confidence still has a chance to remain intact. But when correction continues without understanding, the damage doesn't stop at confidence. Something else begins to quietly break down. Not in the mind, but in the body. Especially when writing is demanded for long stretches, under pressure, in silence. And in the next episode, I am going to explore exactly that. What happens when a child's knowledge is intact, the intention is strong, but the body simply cannot keep going? Because sometimes what we call poor performance is actually fatigue. Unnoticed, unnamed, and deeply misunderstood.